Welcome back to Football Friday here on May 5th, 2023. Happy Cinco de Mayo. Drink up. My name is Mike, and I talk about the past week's NFL news. And this past week we had many deals, we had the NFL draft, and a couple troublemakers. So let's do it. All right, first things first. Last week we finally had the Aaron Rodgers trade. The exact details I'll go ahead and have over here. But realistically, right, we flipped the first round pick. We went ahead and got a second round pick from the Jets this year and a second round pick next year, which will more than likely become a first round pick as long as he plays 65% of his snaps. And then we also flipped the fifth and the sixth again, so we had some irrelevant flips. So realistically, we got a second this year and a second next year for Aaron Rodgers. Plus, again, that may turn into a first round pick. Now, best thing that is the fucking whole entire Aaron Rodgers to the Jets thing is finally over. I'm super happy that it's finally over and we can move forward. Again, we'll see how it goes, but I'm super excited to see Love play this year. I'm super grateful to see Aaron Rodgers play the past 15 years, 18 with the team, but just kind of happy that we're finally moving forward. It feels like we've been stagnant there for the past few years, and at the end of the day, I'm just excited to see what Jordan Love can do, see if Green Bay can actually hit that back-to-back Hall of Famers. He's sat behind Aaron Rodgers for 3 years now. He was a first-round pick. A lot of the pre-draft evaluations on Jordan Love was saying, hey, if he can get into the right situation, maybe wait a few years behind a veteran, and he sat behind one of the best veterans that's ever played the game. So I'm excited to see what he can do. Either way, Aaron Rodgers finally got traded right before the draft, so we knew what we were getting into when we got into the draft. The Jets knew, and it's finally over, and we can live in peace. It's actually amazing. Another big deal was Lamar Jackson finally got paid. He got paid by the Ravens, I'm sure you guys know, but he received a 5-year, $260 million contract, which includes a no trade clause, a no franchise tag clause, and a $72.5 million signing bonus, which is the largest it's ever been, as well as $185 million of that 260 guaranteed. So overall, he'll receive a $52 million average per year, which is the highest among every quarterback, so he's super happy about that, of course. But I really thought he wasn't going to actually re-sign with the Ravens. I thought that bridge was burnt and he was moving on to a new team. I really thought he was going to go to the Colts. I was kind of hoping that we would sign him as a Green Bay fan, but either way, he's back with the Ravens. They got Odell now, so I'm excited to see what he does with Odell. Also, one of my favorite things about the deal is that all those racist Ravens fans that were like, yeah, let's get rid of him. He's lazy and he keeps being injured and he's, not good for the team. Now they got to deal with him for another 5 years, probably more than that. But that is just hilarious to me that they're stuck with him. You know how good old Maryland can be with the people that live there, especially on the south and the east side of Maryland. So that's pretty freaking hilarious to me. I'm super excited because he's a great football player, and we can have him back with a team that drafted him. So that's pretty exciting. But yeah, so Lamar Jackson finally got paid. All right, so the biggest news of the week was the NFL draft. The most anticipated off-season day, really 3 days now, happened last week, and we finally, lived through it. As a Green Bay fan, just like every other year, I came out of it disappointed in our team. Now, I don't think Green Bay necessarily drafts badly. They just don't draft for what our fans want, which is a fucking wide receiver, right? Like, can we get a fucking wide receiver? It's not in the second round. Can we just get in some good talent? Now, I know this year's draft for wide receivers wasn't the strongest. Either fucking way, I'm just tired of getting these players that just might be a superstar, but they have to sit behind our players for a few years to kind of build up their confidence or whatever they got to build up. It's just, I wish Green Bay would actually sign good players right out of the gate. I know we usually draft in the 20s and we don't really get down too low, but the 13th overall pick is in the first half of the round, and we just got a guy that played started 2 games, I think he did. So either way, as far as Green Bay goes and the draft, I'm disappointed just like I am every fucking year. Other highlights of the draft, most people are saying the Eagles won the draft. Houston, they built a good foundation with Will Anderson and C.J. Stroud. This thing is falling off. And the Panthers, Houston, Colts, maybe Tennessee all got their franchise quarterback. We'll see how that all plays out. The Jets thought they had their franchise quarterback with Zach Wilson a couple years ago, and Sam Darnold, and everybody fucking else. Just like every other draft, though, you really have to ignore all those post-draft rankings and grades because nobody truly knows how these players are going to play, how they're going to turn out. Think about just all the buzz throughout history. So realistically, it takes a few years before we'll get to see. So anyways, be excited about what your team did. Look into their highlights. I'm excited. This is a good time in football. We got a few more months until we really get to the playing and seeing how these people will actually play out. But it's still super exciting to see each team grow. And like Green Bay, we got 2 tight ends. I'm excited for that. Hopefully one of them turns out to be a superstar. We'll see though, as with all things. All right, on some not so great news, we had Henry Ruggs and Jackson Mahomes in the news. Henry Ruggs, once a promising wide receiver for the Raiders, will formally plead guilty to the fatal DUI case on May 10th. So we have a few days until he finally goes ahead and does that. On November 2nd, 2021, Ruggs was driving drunk in the middle of the morning and went ahead and hit into a Toyota RAV4, causing it to, shoot for about 500 feet, and then it caught on fire, and unfortunately both the driver and her dog were burnt alive, which is literally fucking crazy and awful, and just what the fuck is life? That is just freaking ridiculous. 156 miles per hour drunk. What are you fucking doing? Like, what are you fucking doing? These fucking mistakes. Anyways, hopefully, the conviction will give some relief to the victims' families. Probably fucking not, though, as Ruggs is facing 2 to 50 years in prison, most believing that he'll come between 3 to 10 years of actual prison time. Either way, just fucking sad. Not more to say about that. Then let's just fucking continue on. All right, Jackson Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes' brother. I love how it's always Jackson Mahomes, Patrick Mahomes' brother. Like, there is no, hey, here's Jackson Mahomes. He was arrested this week and charged with sexual battery. He'll go ahead and get in front of a judge, I believe, on May 11th. Again, the dickwad continues to show how awful he truly is through all of his fucking things. So I really don't want to sit around and talk about him too much because he's a fucking piece of shit. Just had to mention it because it's been big news everywhere. So, yeah, don't be a fucking dick. Next. The final story that we're going to discuss this week is the Jordan Love's contract. Jordan Love signed a new contract. The Packers were going to sign him to a 5th-year option. Now he is a first-round pick, and he's getting up to that mark. So if we went ahead and signed him to that 5th-year option, he was going to get $20 million next year, not this year, but the 2024 year. That $20 million was guaranteed, fully guaranteed. And so the Packers were like, hey, we don't know if you're going to be good or not. So let's sign you to a new contract, basically effectively being a 5th-year contract, but with only $13 million guarantee. So a few of you probably would be saying, hey, why would he sign this? So $22 million is what the total contract is for the 2024 year versus that $20 million. So if he earns everything, then he'll get $22 million versus that $20 million. And he should believe in himself. But either way, it kind of gives Green Bay like, hey, let's see how dog shit he is. If he's terrible 2023, then we'll just go ahead and really just put him as a backup, and he'll only get $13 million, maybe a little bit more. But either way, I think it's good for him, good for us, and with this whole entire contract move, we were able to put about $6 million onto this year's cap, freeing up more cap space next year. And what it seems like, as long as Jordan Love plays well and plays to the level that we think he can play, we're really loading up for next year, 2024. We're going to have a lot of cap space with Aaron Rodgers' contract not being on there, and we'll be able to sign some good players, hopefully. We know how Green Bay goes. So this is all from a fan's hope of what Green Bay does, which means that they probably won't fucking do shit. But what it looks like is they can load up next year, get some, chemistry built this year with Love, and a 17-week season. maybe sneak into the playoffs, maybe not, probably not. But in that 2024 year, I think it's going to be a great one. And I really hope Love does well because I would love to have a Love jersey, you know? I just think it'd be like super great to be rocking a Love jersey. Last name on the back, just Love. That is all for this week's Football Friday. That sucks. Also, Dutch Bros, pretty fucking great.